Hey everyone, welcome to episode 57 of AI GTM Talks. My name is Mani Iyer, and you know, uh, for many of you who have been joining us, weekly, we kicked off the series over a year ago, and we bring on either AI GTM tech CEOs who go really deep in different areas within AI for go-to-market. We bring on revenue leaders who are transforming their B2B organizations around AI for go-to-market, or we bring in experts who are deep subject matter experts in specific areas. And, super excited to welcome Stephen Cuccio. Stephen, you are the head of new client strategy at Madcraft. Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks, Manny. Thanks for having me. Um, yeah, excited to have this conversation today and have been following it for a while. So,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
thanks for joining us, Stephen. What got me excited about you saying, hey, you'll come on our series here is there's a lot of chatter, right, around AI, SEO, GEO. And then there is, of course, go to market, which is, outbound and pipeline and revenue. I have not honestly seen too many folks who can credibly kind of connect the dots between those two. It seems to be operating in silos, and what got me excited was you honestly, when you and I started discussing the agenda for today, that really is going to be super valuable, I think, for many of the folks listening. Is how do you turn qualified traffic coming into your website, applying the best of AI SEO GEO strategies, and then actioning all the right ICP fit, persona fit profiles and contacts and leads and so on, and turning that into revenue. So, with that framing, Stephen, I want to turn it over to you. And maybe, but before we get into the meat of it, because I know you have a lot of interesting stuff you're going to show. So, folks, just letting you know, it's going to be a tear down. It's got a lot of show and tell. Stephen is, very, very hands on. But let's give everybody a little bit of context here for Stephen. Tell everyone, if you wouldn't mind, what's Madcraft? What do you all do at Madcraft?
Yeah, happy to. So, we're a digital transformation agency. So, similar to uh, your standard across the board development and digital marketing shop, but we've taken a different approach to really understand the full life cycle from brand creation all the way through optimization of our clients' growth. With that, I think comes a lot of the chatter to your point around AEO and GEO, right? There's what is it? What's LLM optimization? How do I improve it for my organic visibility presence on my website? And then as I'm into the market, uh, regardless of the industry that I'm in, right? It's a very, very hot topic. And I think there's a lot of unknown and it's moving pretty rapidly. So what
Yeah,
we do is try and solve a lot of those issues for our clients. And, we do that through different tactical ways, uh, branding, creative, web and mobile dev, app dev, performance marketing, inclusive of organic visibility on behalf of our clients, paid media placement, programmatic, all that good stuff. But we really take it in the lens of where's the market going and how can we help our clients get there? And retroactively applying that for us, right? So
mm,
we're th- in the agency space. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there that are dealing with the same problem. It's the old saying of, uh, I, I think it's like the cobbler shoes always have holes in them or something like that,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
never get it
yeah,
right, but
yeah,
um, we've really taken a stance over the last 8 months or so to say, if we're going to be leaders in the space and we're going to truly help our clients, we have to do it on our own. We need to get in
yeah,
there. We need to make the mistakes. We need to understand where the gaps are so then we can offer a really good solution for our clients. And
yeah.
that's where we've partnered with Kwanzoo for our high intent based data to
Hmm.
identify where people are searching for more information for AEO and GEO or within our ICP fit, where are they searching, how are they searching, and how can we get out in front of them and help them? And that's where I've stepped in because I oversee client strategy. I've stepped in on the go-to-market side for Madcraft, particularly to say,
Yeah.
let's really go deep in this. Let's figure it out So then as we productize this and we help our clients with the go to GTM strategy on AI optimization and all that good stuff, we have a solid playbook that we can deliver on behalf
Mhm.
of, candidly, the mistakes that we've made, right? So our clients don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, could you give folks a flavor of the types of clients you all are working with, SMB, mid-market, enterprise, industries, verticals, that kind of thing?
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So are um, we're specifically in the industrial manufacturing and adjacent space in the B2B market. So we do a lot of your like CRH groups, MinCons, kind of these large multinational enterprise level B2B industrial manufacturing and adjacent players. And we've also worked with a lot of the growing rental groups and some of the growing specific manufacturers in the space regionally, internationally, all that good stuff. So our ICP direct fit is around uh, somebody who is very specified with, I have to build this part because it fits in this machine specifically, and in order for this machine to work, it needs a specification, and I'm the only one that can do it, right? So it's a highly niche industry, but what we found in there is a good example is we work with a group in Colorado that builds custom parts for tube fitting and tube bending for their clients. So they build these little
Mm.
tiny pieces that can go into tube bending machines, and it's hyper specific to the clients that they're working with. And it changes rapidly because the machines adjust, they get new machines in, and their digital presence wasn't there, their searchability wasn't there, and then candidly, their online purchasing mechanism wasn't there too. So we were able
Mm.
to restructure the entire B2B buying portal for them, create a seamless, frictionless repurchasing and new purchasing opportunity for them, and then help with visibility because now we can go out and say, hey, you don't have to call a salesperson and talk through dimensions every time. You can do it online and it's dynamic with the integration of AI, but it's still secure given the integration with AI. So all that to say, the B2B industrial space to us, there's a lot of folks that do need help in that
Yeah.
digital transformation modernization aspect of things.
Mm. Yeah.
Uh, and we've had a lot of success there too. So um, that being said, everybody's kind of going through the same challenge, and that's why this is an interesting challenge for me to run go to market for Madcraft because my go to market client is a digital transformation agency as opposed to an industrial manufacturing client on the other side. So it's different
Yeah.
perspective, super interesting on the actual tactical
Yeah.
approach.
Got it. Let's get into some of the, I thought, pretty interesting workflows you've been building out.
Yeah,
Specific to, as you said, connecting the dots from AI, SEO, GEO, getting the right audience into the Madcraft website, and then, putting them through the funnel. Yeah, if you want to
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
absolutely. So at a high level, I'm going to share my screen too. We've actually built everything within N8N flows to allow for easy integration on the Madcraft side. And the goal here again is I feel that N8N allows for easy integration and it's pretty agnostic to the tech stack itself. So you can plug in whether you're using Instantly or Apollo or another email deliverability partner, you can plug those in pretty easily within the flow itself. But at
Hmm.
a high level, we've established an ICP in the market. We've then taken that ICP fit, put it into Kwanzoo for offsite and onsite intent data. And out of that, it's then brought back based on the purchasing signals, a number of different opportunities for us. And one of the challenges that we ran into is because Kwanzoo is able to grab so much data across the board, we might find somebody that is high intent search signal for AEO and GEO optimization, but is also looking for paid media placement, programmatic, brand transformation. Like they just need a lot of help, right?
Hmm.
And candidly, they don't necessarily know where to start. So what we've actually done, and I'll share my screen here just so you can see the flow itself.
Sure.
And you can see this, right?
Yeah, yeah. But if you wouldn't mind zooming in. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yep.
Perfect. So obviously starts with a webhook based on the ICP integration that we've built in. So this
Mhm.
will spit out a certain number of leads based on the intent data that is put into Kwanzoo. And then what we have here is it's a duplication of the table itself. So disregard the fact that it says RB2B.
Well,
This is
the
our
good news is we actually they are one of our partners for sourcing the intent data now. But yeah,
Yeah, that's actually how we've been able to integrate this. So this is specifically our on-site flow, but we've actually migrated this for an on-site flow as well. So it's similar, it's just pulling from different webhooks. So um,
hmm
all good there. But what we're able to do is we're able to pull in all of this information
yeah,
into an ICP fit scoring model that's built in Airtable. And
mm
within that, again, we've dumped in all of our industrial manufacturing size, geos, um, target market from a demographic standpoint, like uh, director of digital, director of marketing, VP of marketing, a brand strategist, all that kind of stuff is dumped into the database of the Airtable itself. We then
mm,
match it up based on a scoring model within our ICP. And if it passes, and come over here, if it passes above 80, and that's
yeah,
true, we actually go in here and we'll add and qualify additional contacts from that same industry or from that
yeah,
same brand itself, just because we understand, if somebody's an 80 plus in the scoring model, we might not want to just run after the VP of marketing. We might want to go down funnel to the managerial level, knowing
mm,
that they're a great ICP fit. It might be a longer sales cycle, but we can get that internal champion to then go to their
yeah,
boss and say, hey, I chatted with Madcraft. This is a really good conversation. So
hmm
within that, we'll then rescore the ICP, make sure that all of the additional contacts that we're pulling from Clay in this case is our enrichment source right now, but it's interchangeable with Apollo or Zoom Info or any of the other enrichment sources. We're able to pull that information and then requalify them within the ICP. Obviously, we don't want to
yeah,
message to like a HR leader or leader of software dev or something like that. So once we
mm,
do that, we actually go into the email writer itself, and we've played around a lot with like Gemini models, which is a low cost model. They do really good marketing content, in my opinion. Claude models, ChatGPT open models too. So with Open Router, we can obviously plug and play that here. But then once we have all that messaging, we then push it into our Instantly campaign along with the LinkedIn messaging that's being produced as well. And then run that through Get Sales, which is our LinkedIn deliverability partner right now. Now,
okay,
the interesting thing here too is when we're going through the enrichment process, so that's all automated because we've identified that this is 80 plus, right?
yeah, yeah,
And within the ICP fit scoring, we're able to write some pretty robust content based on even if they have a list of 5 to 7 intent signals that are coming out of Kwanzoo. I've created a model within that ICP fit scoring that will assimilate that and then make a decision based on what we think would be most effective for that specific uh, brand that we're targeting to. And the reason why we go that route is because it is such a high ICP fit for us. We're willing to invest more AI credits into that enrichment process. Now,
mm,
down here, if they score between 45 and 80, we want to make sure that there's a human in the loop element, which is, hey, is this person actually a good ICP fit? What should we target them for? Because we know that we only have one shot. We're not going to expand to other folks um, within their group itself.
mm,
So based on that, we'll get a Slack message to the team that'll say, here are all of the intent topics. Which one should we prioritize, or how do you want to frame this up? And then I'll respond with a human in the loop element, and then that'll replicate the process here. So then obviously the email will write instantly, which will say, hey, we've added a lead to the instantly campaign, and then LinkedIn as well, which we push into Get Sales.
Stephen, if you wouldn't mind, I have a question on just that topic, right?
Sure.
So if you have, as you said, multiple intent signals, and one of them was SEO, GEO, AI SEO, GEO, another one was paid media, another said programmatic, or whatever are the other services you all offer. You are the human in the loop. So how are you kind of making that decision for the sales rep to say, okay, put it in this sequence or put it in that? I'm just curious, like how you, in the 45 to 80 is one thing, but what are the tea leaves that you're reading to figure that out?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll preface that with at the beginning, just for learnings, I was solely human in the loop for every single intent lead that came through, which was a lot, right? Candidly, I was getting 30, 40 Slack messages a day that I had to respond to. And the reason I took that was because there is that warning, right? To your point, I had to read the tea leaves and make mistakes in order to understand how to train the agent. So, and that's not new news to anybody, right? Um,
Yeah,
a lot of folks think that AI is this magic fix, but it's really information in, information out. You need to be able to educate the AI to make the correct decisions to get the right output. So
yeah.
what I was able to do is just based on our client base itself and industry knowledge within our ICP fit, we're taking a stance around if they're looking for paid media, organic visibility, brand transformation, new website, all that kind of stuff. I'll make a very educated assumption that it's a digital transformation process. And based on the ICP fit that we typically have to start with a organic visibility. I hate the word audit, but essentially a strategy associated with that. Because
Mm,
our stance here is the pay to play model is very effective in up to a certain level, right? But ultimately, it's outside of your control. Let's say you're running a very effective Google AdWords and display campaign. Ultimately, Google tomorrow could say, "Hey, Manny, Manny's Construction or Manny's Industrial Manufacturing Company, sorry, you're not allowed to run Google Ads with us anymore. We're not going to take your money." Now, that's
mm,
Google's always going to take people's money, but hypothetically, we want to make sure that the organic presence is so solid that you're not relying on the paid action in order to drive the business and revenue growth to meet the KPIs that you've established. So within
mm,
that organic visibility model, given the way that people are searching, we're applying that now to the intent signals that are coming in. So if I see a list of paid media, organic visibility, SEO, LM optimization, realistically, the solve there is fix your organic because the paid we can always solve for once we have a good organic presence. If I
mm,
see brand transformation, website, B2B buyer portal, I know that the digital platform itself isn't up to par with what they need to do. So now we need to start with what is your B2B buyer platform on? Is there digital transformation for the assets that need to be done? A new website, a brand refresh, a relaunch, all that kind of stuff. So I try and bucket in we need to restructure the foundation, which is the
mm.
digital assets itself. And we need to grow the foundation, which is the digital presence, which holistically needs to be rooted in a good organic presence.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah, no, I think I'm sure a lot of people will also be curious about um, mapping from those keywords, topic keywords, which is what we are bringing you these offsite intent leads around, to the first is the prioritization, as you said, among your different
Hmm.
services, which is the first dimension of the human in the loop you talked about. The next would be the actual messaging itself, right?
Yeah.
What are you writing in there? How are you sequencing it? How are you phrasing it? How are you wording it? So I'm real curious about that. But anyway, continue. I think you're giving us a lot to think about. Yeah.
No, that's a really good point to it because you can have the upfront build down to a T, but without the messaging, it's never going to land, right? So now you're just paying for intent-based data without being able to produce physical leads to run after and take those discovery calls with. So the
Yeah.
stance that we've taken on that is given the market that we run after, and I encourage everybody, the ICP is the biggest aspect of this. Without an ICP fit, you're not going to be able to leverage intent-based data at all because you don't have an action to follow up from that. Whether it's on the service side, on the product side, you need to have a solid ICP to be able to action what the next step is for that lead that's coming in with intent data. So based on our ICP, obviously given the industrial manufacturing, large equipment, heavy equipment, rental space, all that good stuff, we've identified that there's a large gap between, let's say, um, a, a tech founder out of Silicon Valley and a CEO of a $200 million machine manufacturing company, right?
Mm,
Typically, the knowledge and the appetite to go try things are totally different in those two folks.
mm,
We need to educate the CEO of the machine manufacturing company on why the market is shifting in the way it is, which is
Mhm.
we've seen over the last, I think it's 4 or 5 months now, a decrease in organic search via Google down by about 35% and an increase on LLM visibility by that same 35%. So people are essentially just shifting from Googling to Googling on ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, having conversations in a query base over there. So that's a
Yeah.
huge market shift for visibility.
Hmm. Yeah.
To us, from a message creation standpoint, that means I can't message Manny, CEO of machine manufacturing company, and say, we have a service that will help you gain more organic visibility in LLMs, because that's not going to resonate. They don't know what that
Yeah.
means.
Mm.
It needs to be prescriptive in why the market is shifting, how we've seen the market shift. And with that comes a lot of uh, detailed educational messaging.
Yeah.
And I know we were chatting about this the other day, just catching up. We're actually seeing a lot more success on that note via LinkedIn than we are via email. And I
Oh.
think, and my hunch is, and I'm still testing this over and over again, because of the inherent nature of the long form educational message of, hey, I noticed that machinemanufacturing.com doesn't have this schema orientation, or it looks like your competitors are doing this, or it looks like uh, we have a ton of stuff going on here. We need to prescribe how to solve that for them to allow for them to jump in and say, oh yeah, I understand this. I'm interested. I do want to learn more. And my hunch is, and I can report back in the next couple of weeks or so once I have physical data to run after. But because there's a little image of myself on LinkedIn, they can look me up and see that I'm a real person. They're more willing to have that conversation based on the research that I've done initially for them, as
Mm.
opposed to a cold email coming from, Steven at madcraftagency.com. People are inundated with those because that's the
Yeah. Yeah.
go-to-market
Yeah.
system now. So
Right.
within the messaging itself, that's where we're able to be prescriptive in LinkedIn with the fly cover of email, so they can go in their inbox and say, "Oh, he's already messaged me there."
Got it. Let's go back, if you don't mind, to your visual. I'm curious about
Yeah,
uh, what happens next. I think you were showing us certain steps in the process all the way to right.
yeah. Let me go back in here. So we pop in, LinkedIn message flies through, and this is a
Yeah.
cadence around. There's 4 emails in here, and there's a number of LinkedIn messages here. And I'll
Yeah.
actually I want to show the exact flow itself
Yeah.
because we're actually testing a different platform called Get Sales for email deliverability as well.
Yeah. And so what you described in terms of the LinkedIn messaging is what you're actually sending through Get Sales, right? It's the one.
Yes.
And is that text, or is that text plus video, you said some talking head? So
Yeah, so we're specifically testing text right now, but you can see the sender profile, and this is Get Sales, which
yeah.
I'm a big fan of for LinkedIn deliverability. And we're still testing
Okay.
this, so the numbers aren't, we're still trying to work through this. But when we're coming through the email, this is all dynamically pulled in from the email writer within our N8N flow. And then
Yeah.
you see, as I expand, I mean, you can see the extensive tree map associated with it, but we're actually coming in here and we're able to visit profile, send a connection request, and then based on that, if they've connected, then go into my email or my LinkedIn messaging specifically, and then coming in
Yeah.
here based on the flow, right? Standard stuff, but the nice thing that Get Sales does, it allows for integration directly with InMail, and it actually gives me, if I go into my sender profile, a health score of my LinkedIn in particular,
Mm.
which is nice.
Mm.
So I can see conversion rate associated with it, pending queue. Um, I can go back in here and maybe withdraw some of my connection requests if they're above 20%. So it does a really good job on LinkedIn visibility. And then also the email comes directly from an inbox as if it was being delivered by Gmail, as opposed to some of the other cold emails that are just text-based without HTML associated with it. So that's within the flow. We'll come back in here. The reason we're doing text only
Yeah.
is because of the dynamic element at scale. Now, the video at scale, I think, is an interesting component. We just haven't been able to test that within the amount of leads that we're trying to attract, right?
Okay.
So to me, and this is a personal opinion on video with AI right now, I don't think that it's up to par with doing an actual Loom video. So we'll
Yeah.
generate a response via this tree. And then typically the next response there is I'll introduce myself via Loom info, or I'll have one of the folks on my team do the same if we're using their sender profile, and then be able to schedule a discovery call from there.
Right. Okay. So no, yeah. So I think what you just cleared up is okay. You're talking of LinkedIn messaging, right? Uh, and so LinkedIn messaging coupled with email, and you're saying LinkedIn is where you're getting more traction because of people actually responding, people actually engaging. Uh,
And the nice thing about LinkedIn too is we're able to add in a different flow associated with it that actually pulls in their social presence of LinkedIn. If they're commenting on other folks, we're able to grab that and roll it into the messaging associated with the intent data that we're seeing offsite.
oh, interesting. Do you have any kind of example of that, like where you've combined offsite intent with LinkedIn comments, likes? That's super interesting. I don't think I've seen too much of that. People trying to go
Sure.
that far.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull up an example of somebody that I was messaging earlier today as
Right.
soon as I can.
So you have somebody you've sourced as an offsite intent lead. So you know, okay, they're showing buying signals across those media properties, media websites. Now you are also combining that with, okay, are they also posting, commenting on LinkedIn? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, the reason I'm also bringing this up is yes, we also recently added social monitoring into the Kwanzoo tech so that you can have, say, 10,000 of your prospects as LinkedIn URLs, and then we'll give you like a daily alerts of here are 100 people or 50 people who have posted on LinkedIn in the last 24 hours. And
So
so,
this
yeah, definitely, I
is,
think it's interesting for folks watching to understand that kind of a flow and how you construct that flow.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy to overshare here too. And I apologize if you see my LinkedIn messaging inbox just all over the place, but you can see
Okay.
in here. So this is he's a senior manager at Telespen, which is a construction company, right? So they're a
Yep.
large manufacturing and construction company out there, and I've been able to pull in digital presence messaging specifically around focus on specialized technical teams, how their expertise is presented, and then
Mm,
provide a recommendation around for firms handling large scale greenfield developments. Technical visualization shouldn't just be an execution detail, it should be primary sales asset. And then
mm,
based on that, I've noticed that he's been offsite intent as well as in social, looking for integrating the VDC capabilities into front end business development story in order to expand the business. And then this is where we go back and forth. We use CM Builder for front end business development, gap in expertise. And then I was able to provide some examples just based on a social pull. And this is a human in the loop element where I'll go into the system itself, do additional research, and then dump this into the AI writer to spit out some of this information. And then you see
mm.
this morning, this is where I expanded a little bit more on it based on very high level audit of how they can confirm or they can optimize across their digital asset presence. So in this case, it's really their front end marketing website, but
Yeah.
with the focus on VDC and BIM visibility within the site itself. Um,
Mm,
and that's all based on. So this was a direct pull from Kwanzoo for an offsite
yeah.
intent, and it
Okay.
was around digital asset visibility. So that combination of hey, we need a new website, and um, we also want organic visibility. And then I was able to look at his specific presence on LinkedIn automatically via our agent, and then put together this messaging throughout the conversation.
Okay. Okay. Now, the offsite intent you pulled from us was more than one topic, right? You had multiple topics that you pulled.
Yeah, I think I'd have to double check, but I think for Robert specifically, there was 4 or 5, inclusive of web development, and SEO, and I think there was a just overall paid media intent topic there.
But if you've honed in on this one, VDC visibility as the key hook, how did you arrive at that decision? Is it because you saw it both offsite and social?
Yes. So this was the reason why we looked at this hook was within the agent flow itself here, we've added in research um, within the scoring and messaging. So as part of the email writer agent and chat model and memory tool, it'll actually go and identify because he's a and it should be yeah, it's in this stage here because they're an above 80 score based on their ICP fit. So within that messaging into Airtable, we were able to establish not only was Robert searching for this, but some of his colleagues were also searching for VDC BIM visibility. So then we were able to pull, hey, it looks like Robert intently and offsite intent is searching for organic web and paid media. So like that digital transformation that we talked about earlier. And there's a brand level capability based on LinkedIn polls that they're searching for the visibility for VDC and BIM, which is where we arrived at this type of messaging.
Got it. Got it. Wow. What did it take you all? I'm curious about the process you went through to build that scoring model that you've got in Airtable. uh, what was the process there? Was it you brainstorming with folks within your company or within your org? I mean, I'm assuming you wrote some kind of spec or yeah. What was the process of coming up with your scoring model?
Yeah, yeah. So we walk through very similar to how we would attack it with an external client, right? We sat down, we did stakeholder interviews, we looked at quantitative and qualitative research within the market itself to identify what are the gaps that we're solving for that we do really well, and who are those people with, right? So then within that, we established a comprehensive ICP over, gosh, it was almost like a 2 month, 3 month process to refine it, iterate it, test it in the market, come back and say, yes, we feel really confident about this. Because realistically, that's the business model, right? Is you need
Mm.
of going back to my point earlier, you need that solid ICP. And it's hard because everybody's trying to grow in different ways. But you need to be able to look at something and say, this is who we're targeting, this is how we're going to achieve our 1, 3, 5, 7 year goals, and everything else is noise. It's wasting our time, it's not worth our time. Because if you allow the noise to come in, now you're not focusing in on the true north, and it's going to derail some of your KPI goals itself. So long story short, about a 2 or 3 month process, but it was comprehensive from sitting with my C-suite, sitting with the implementation folks on my team. So like my head of development, my head of creative, my head of digital, going through specifically what they think we do well and what we don't do well in specific industries, and then running my own quantitative and qualitative research externally. With, I mean, now you would hire like a McKinsey back in the day, but now with like Claude and all these different LLMs, you can kind of do a little bit of that. Um, and then compiling that and presenting it back to the rest of the team and saying, hey, does this fit? Reiterate, reiterate, reiterate. And then now it all lives within our Airtable instance itself.
Got it. Got it. Um, So, because you said some interesting things about you're using the different intent topics offsite, you're using the social signals of that same individual, you're using the fact that that individual is not the only one from that org that has come in, but you've got other people from that org that have come in. I'm assuming within a certain time window, like within the last 7 days or 30 days. I mean, how far back are you checking on that aspect?
Yeah, so within the intent topic itself, we usually pull 30 days just because
Okay.
within our ICP, the buying cycle is much longer than I'll use the tech CEO as an
Yeah.
example again. Typically, their buying cycle is much quicker because they want to move and they want to test quickly and fail quickly type mentality.
Right. Right.
With our specific ICP, it's procurement's involved, it's a long sales cycle. So we're looking at intent topics over the last 30 days. And then from an enrichment standpoint, we'll actually pull within our ICP, regardless of intent topics, or up to, I think the top is like 10 folks. that will enrich based on the ICP fit score. So in this case, Robert was the intent person that came from Kwanzoo, but we're also messaging, let's say, another 10 folks from Telepen with the
Hmm.
same message associated with being able to search their LinkedIn presence, which came up with the messaging that we sent to Robert and his colleagues.
Yeah. Right. And I get this question a lot, so I'm just going to ask you about this. When you message these people, you're not telling them that you know they came to your website, right? That's
Yeah.
that's obvious, but you don't want to spook people, right? By saying that you know that they came.
Yeah, we back in the day when you were able to, pixel pretty easily with some of the other technologies out there, you'd almost say that because it was disruptor. They'd be like, "I didn't know you could do that. That's kind of cool." Now I think it is spooky because people have that inheritive nature of like, I don't want to be tracked, even though
Hmm.
you're on a trackable device across everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The way that we come about it is, and we've tested a little bit of this. We've gone with I've noticed I chatted with a colleague and they asked me to reach out to you, kind of those type of tips and tricks. I think
Yeah.
just bypassing, at least in my opinion and experience, bypassing all of that and going directly into here's what I noticed in the market, here's what I noticed specifically for your company, and here is a
Yeah.
consultative recommendation on how to solve it. Getting very direct to the point seems to land much better.
Got it. Got it. So, did we cover all the key elements of your scoring model, or did we? Is there anything else that you take into consideration?
I think at a high level, and just to recap, it's the industry itself with subcategories within the industry. Then we look at uh, role level itself, right? C-suite,
Yeah.
VP, director, managerial, and we kind of score based on that. And then we look at sub niche within that because within our industry, the language might be different than other industries. So we're
Hmm.
looking, we typically want to avoid procurement, even though they're involved in the process, because they're going to go out and do that research anyway, regardless of us trying to
Yeah.
cold message them. But sometimes they'll come up just based on intent signals that we'll then message to them anyway, which that's another interesting use case. We had somebody uh, that came from an intent signal that happened to be procurement that we messaged cold. Then they visited the website again. We messaged again off of the website. And then we're in an RFP submission right now for that specific brand. But they're
Yeah.
a, 100-year-old massive organization in the machine manufacturing space. So it
Hmm.
sometimes it takes that many touch points and continued in their face messaging to get the opportunity to jump into an RFP like that.
Got it. What about channels and tactics? You've got email, you've got LinkedIn. Are there any others? I mean, some people talk about text and SMS and WhatsApp, and some people talk about display advertising, retargeting air cover. Um, I mean, there's one for
Yeah,
yourself internally, the other for your clients. I mean, what are your thoughts on those other ancillary channels?
yeah, that's a really good point. For us internally, the SMS avenue typically doesn't work just given the level of enterprise that we're running after. When we're
Yeah,
working with clients, I'm a big believer in the air coverage within the retargeting element, specifically in a geo that makes sense for them. So let's say we have a client that has a big presence and they do a large sponsorship at a trade show event, right?
yeah,
We'll be able to identify the intent buyer signals from a list. Like, let's say they have a list of 100 leads of intent data of their specific ICP clients. We can then take that list and match it up with the attendee list of the conference that they're going to be presenting at, and then retarget to those folks in a programmatic manner during the conference for air
mm,
coverage, and then drive them to the booth itself for those sales conversations. So it gets
oh,
very interesting in the retargeting and programmatic approach based on that intent topic because there's two elements to it. There's like the cold sales, and then
yeah.
there's the cold marketing. And I think being able to cover both is super important.
Got it. Got it. So I know we have about 5 minutes left. Anything else you wanted to cover on the workflows, the demo component, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, I think the workflow itself and the way that we set it up, and all we can jump back in here to see we actually migrated over to a self-source or self-hosted N8N platform. This is
Hmm.
our journal here. But if you come in, you can see different elements specifically for like this is our on-site. These are general leads in an ABM instance. Um,
Mm.
Instantly workbook. This is Tripify, which is social intent, which is then, that was what we had previously. Now it's rolled within Kwanzoo's social intent searchability. But when we're looking at all these different elements, the big aspect here is going to be, and here, let's go in here, general leads. So this is a very similar workflow itself. The difference here is this is a mass play. So the messaging
Mm.
is slightly different, but it's
Yeah.
still up against the ICP fit scoring. So this is your instantly campaign sending to 200, 300 people a day, but we still want to write that custom messaging and we want to do the
Yeah.
same process. So that's our
And
belief is our belief is we want to follow the same system across the board in different
yeah,
funnel channel attributions.
got it. What are you doing around? Because another strategy a lot of people are trying or using is call it similar accounts or lookalikes to your
Mhm.
closed one. Are you kind of running any kind of campaign around lookalikes and similar accounts to your wins?
We do a lot of work in the heavy machine rental space, which is a
Yeah.
finite industry holistically, right? You have like Cat, Holix, and some of the other players out there. I think Hyundai is a big player. So you have 4 or 5 of these large reseller brands that you can run after some of the smaller locations, just based on some of the success that we've had there. That's
Mm.
been pretty successful for us because of the story that we can tell. And that goes back to your traditional go-to-market play of, hey, we work with this dealer, they're in your network, here's how we've helped them. But it's enriched with some of the intent data specifically for, you know, Manny Cat, who does cat dealers or cat rentals up and down California. We can then speak specifically to some of the challenges that might be prevalent for you in California as opposed to North Carolina, for example.
Got it. Got it. All right. Let's kind of try to tie it up,
Mhm.
Stephen. Uh, let's talk about a couple more things. Challenges, misconceptions. What are you running into? Any quote hurdles in terms of within your prospects, customers around AI for go to market? Um, what are you seeing that might be getting in the way of people adopting some of this newer tech and newer data and newer opportunities?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's pretty prevalent in the space that we're in. There's a misconception around I call it the iRobot aspect of AI, which is like there's these AI robots that are running around and doing the shopping for us and cleaning our houses and taking over our lives, right? We're so far off from that. I don't even know if we're ever going to be there, but there is that misconception of that fear mongering associated with that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. I would say the biggest element for us is educating clients and even ourselves on human in the loop is vital for successful AI integration. You need to
mm,
have somebody that understands how to speak to the AI flow as if they were an SDR or a marketer, and you're hiring them onto your team. So that's the way that
yeah,
we view it, and that's the way that we educate our clients that are leveraging different AI flows. Is it's just like if you go out and you hire a pretty junior SDR, you have to train them up. You need to educate them. They're going to make mistakes, and you need to be able to correct those mistakes and allow them to learn from it.
yeah. And for final question, how do you see the future of AI search and go to market? I mean, you've already been doing some very interesting, innovative work from what we discussed today. But what's the future? What else are you excited about looking ahead?
Yeah, a little bit of a loaded question, but I know we're coming up on time here. I would say I think in the next 6 to 12 months, websites holistically are going to change dramatically. And I think overall search visibility is going to change dramatically. It's going to move from your traditional Googling model, which you're already seeing a little bit with the Gemini summary up top, but your website is going to become a database that's then queried by LLMs and different search models to then present what the searcher is looking for directly, as opposed to them having to click through and find that information. So we're going to
Yeah,
see a large shift, and it's super important to have your website buttoned up from a database standpoint and
Hmm.
have a UX UI that's visible by these different LLMs and search engines to provide the correct response to get in front of that client quickly.
Interesting. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We're already seeing some of that, and it's going to continue. The notion of headless CMSs, and
Yeah.
even your CRMs are becoming headless, and everything else. So everybody is
Yeah.
setting up for that. Yeah.
Well, and even to the point of like the Google Shopping experience with
Mm.
Google Shopping AI agent to allow you to then query and do your e-commerce purchases via a Google Shopping AI agent. That's where the headless CMS is going to be important to be able to integrate your different products and SKUs back into that shopping agent.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts, Stephen? And then I'll put up your contact information for people to get in touch with you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on. I think it's a hot topic and everybody's trying to run as fast as they can to solve it. Um, and we're doing the same, right? I think the big thing for us is continuing to try different tech stacks, iterating constantly, and just continuing to learn and educate ourselves on what's coming out in the market because it is changing, I think, in the most rapid way that I've seen throughout my career in the space itself. So, um, to us, it's important to continue to educate ourselves, continue to try this go-to-market motion internally, find success with that in order to help our clients. And that's what we are really focusing on is we want to be in it with our clients. We don't want to just come from a consultative manner. We want to have our hands dirty and be able to provide those results with them.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping to put up the thank you slide with your contact stuff. Having some issues with that. Oh, here it is.
Oh, there we
Um,
go.
yeah. So, how can people get in touch? We got your LinkedIn and email. Both are good.
Yeah, that's perfect. LinkedIn, email, always open to feedback, thoughts, what you're seeing in the market too.
Hmm.
That's a big part of my time right now is just again continuing to share knowledge back and forth and try different things and see what works and see what doesn't work. So yeah, feel free to drop me a note on LinkedIn, drop me an email, whatever works best.
Great. All right. Thanks, Stephen. That was amazing. Thanks for joining us. And folks, that concludes episode 57 of AI GTM Talks. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thanks, Manny.